And now, here's the pleasant young man who will take you out to the party, Jimmy Stewart.
Well, we hope you'll all be with us again next Thursday because listeners going to be here, fellas. Myrna Loy, newly crowned queen of the movies. Fanny Bryce will be here again, Wally Berry, Frank Morgan, and a host of others. And, of course, Merrick Wilson and his orchestra. And remember, your ticket of admission is just your loyalty to Maxwell House Coffee. That's coffee that's good to the last drop. So see you next week, and in the meantime, go to the movies. Enjoy yourselves. Good night, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Now, hold on, Mr. Potter. Just a minute. Now, you're right when you say my father was no businessman. I know that.
Why he ever started this cheap penny-ante building and loan, I'll never know. But neither you nor anybody else can say anything against his character because his whole life was spent
In the 25 years since he and Uncle Billy started this thing, he never once thought of himself. Isn't that right, Uncle Billy?
He didn't save enough money to send Harry to school, let alone me. But he did help a few people to get out of your slums, Mr. Potter. And what's wrong with that?
Here, you're all businessmen here. Doesn't it make them better citizens? Doesn't it make them better customers?
You said, what did you say just a minute ago? That they had to wait and save their money before they even thought of a decent home? Wait for what? Until their children grow up and leave them? Until they're so old and broken down? Do you know how long it takes a working man to save $5,000? You just remember this, Mr. Potter, that this rabble you're talking about, they do most of the working and paying and living and dying in this community.
Well, is it too much to have them work and pay and live and die in a couple of decent rooms and a bath?
Anyway, my father didn't think so. People were human beings to him, but to you, a warped, frustrated old man, they're cattle. Well, in my book, he died a much richer man than you'll ever be.
Jim, if you have a particular reason for being here, you might as well tell us what it is.
Well, my one reason for being here is just that I'm on my way home from Washington. I've been there for about 10 days working on a picture, the FBI story. So that's the first reason. And the second reason is that I'm sort of here to put in a good word for another picture. It's opening here Christmas Day, I think, at the Woods Theater. I did the picture with a local girl that you may have heard of, Kim Novak. Wow. And it's a sort of a comedy. It doesn't matter if I use that term not loosely, because we'll find out after Christmas whether it's a comedy or not, but I like to believe it is. I hope it is, because I think that maybe we could use some. I hope that this is a sort of a part of a trend. I think that the movies have been taking themselves too seriously for the last several years, and I hope we can get some where people can go to the movies and come out laughing instead of come out scratching themselves and go to a psychiatrist or something.
Up we go into the wild sky yonder, keep the wings level and true. If you live to be a gray-haired wonder, keep the nose out of the blue.
Now, it isn't as if it was a chore for me to talk to you, because I want to speak on my favorite subject.
The Army Air Forces.
I can't speak from long experience. I've only been in the service a year, but I've learned a lot about what the Air Forces have to offer.
That's what I want to talk to you about.
Now, make no mistake about this thing, fellas. We're all going to be in this war soon, sooner than a lot of you realize.
And nearly all the officers of this great Army Air Force that they're building today are going to be drawn from the ranks of you men.
Now, here's another thing. It's kind of hard to explain, but believe you me, it's important.
You see, while you're getting all this wonderful technical training in the Air Forces, you're learning about other things, too.
Things that are going to pay off in big dividends. You're learning to be alert. You're learning how to handle men and how to do that job with a lot of pride.
Yeah. You're learning about courage, too.
But you'll know what I mean, and I hope soon, because the Air Forces are proud to think that you might be with them.
You know what that tune reminds me of?
Yes, thank you. 2 dozen unsold cigarette boxes.
No. Wrong again. Reminds me of a girl out of a job. Very nice girl, too, I thought.
Thought that. How you can lie.
Of course, that was before you started to make fun of me, giving imitations of me in the locker room.
And I'd like to take this opportunity, Miss Novak, to inform you that I don't walk like a duck and I'm not bow-legged.
Aren't you?
No, I'm not.
Oh, well, I have information to the contrary. Mr. Vargas assured me you get your trousers specially made.
Well, that's a lie.
Your early days, for example, were spent in the acting business in the company of some other people who have been, developed very great reputations in the movie business, weren't they?
Yeah, I was in a stock company years ago when I first got out of college up in Massachusetts with Margaret Sullivan, Hank Fonda, Kent Smith, Myron McCormick, Millie Natwick. These are people that have gone on in the theater, and certainly wasn't a wild crowd of people. There wasn't any question about improvisation as far as we were concerned. It was a question of learning, and learning by experience. We'd all been to college, we'd all had a sort of a basis as far as education's concerned. So many people come up to me and say, well, I want to act. I know I can, I'm just sure, and I just don't want to waste my time in school. Now, what do I do? And I say, well, in the first place, let's get something straight. Now, you're completely off base as far as wasting your time in school. I think if you want to act, just go to school, study English and a couple of foreign languages and history. Some mathematics if you can do it, and a little science, and well, after you get that basis, if you want to go into the theater, there's plenty of training grounds where you can start with it. But get that basis first.
Hollywood film star James Stewart is now a captain in the Air Force. Interviewed in Britain, he had this to say about his wartime job.
I'm afraid I'm a little out of practice of this appearing before the camera.
About 3 years ago, the first day I got into the Army, I was asked to make a statement for the newsreels.
And as I remember it, I said, I'm very proud to be here, and I'm going to do my best to be useful as a soldier in the United States Army.
I have my own outfit, a heavy bombardment group.
And so we are very proud to be here, and we're going to do our best to be useful as soldiers
in the United States Army. Thank you.
Because Section 40 is graft, and I was ready to say so. I was ready to tell you that a certain man in my state, a Mr. James Taylor, wanted to put through this dam for his own profit.
A man who controls a political machine.
And controls everything else worth controlling in my state.
Yes, and a man even powerful enough to control congressmen, and I saw 3 of them in his room the day I went up to see him.
Will the senator yield?
No, sir, I will not yield.
And this same man, Mr. James Taylor, came down here and offered me a seat in this Senate for the next 20 years if I voted for a dam that he knew and I knew was a fraud.
But if I dared to open my mouth against that dam, he promised to break me in two.
All right, I got up here and I started to open my mouth, and the long and powerful arm of Mr. James Taylor reached into this sacred chamber and grabbed me by the scruff of the neck.
Well, that ends the first act of the 6-shooter, folks. I hope you're enjoying the show. Before we get on with it, I'd like to tell you a little bit about how I happen to be doing this program. I've been lucky enough to do quite a bit of radio acting before, but never had a program of my own. Right thing just didn't seem to come along, at least not until the 6-shooter. See, I've made several stories this kind for pictures, that is, honest, legitimate stories of the West, and I hope that this series can offer the same type of enjoyment, the same integrity. We think that this is the sort of program that the whole family will enjoy, and we think that the character of Britt Ponset typifies some of the greatness that built America. We'd be pleased if you agreed with us.
You said, Jimmy, that was your favorite movie of all. Of all the movies you made, that's still remember. Why is that?
This is a theory that I've always had, that creating moments in movies, This, I think, is the important thing. Nobody exactly knows how it happens, but what you should do is to prepare yourself as best you can to make these moments happen. Because in a movie, it's really not so much the performance. It's really not the... There are moments. There are moments. Just like that one there, I think.
Doyle, I've got something really big for you. Listen to me. Listen to me. Lisa's in jail. She got arrested.
Your Lisa?
My Lisa. Boy, you should have seen her. She got into Thorwald's apartment, but then he came back and the only way I could get her out was call the police.
I told you.
I know you told me. She went in to get evidence and she came out with evidence.
Like what?
Like what? Like Mrs. Thorwald's wedding ring. That's like what? If that woman was alive, she'd be wearing that ring, right? A possibility, it's a fact. He killed a dog last night because the dog was scratching around the garden. You know why? Because he had something buried in that garden that the dog scented. Like, I don't know what pet names Thorwald had for his wife, but I'll tell you this. All those trips at night with that metal suitcase, he wasn't taking out his possessions because his possessions are still up in the apartment. Yeah, in sections. And I'll tell you something else. All those telephone calls he made were long distance, all right? Now, if he called his wife long distance on the day she left, after she arrived in Marriottsville, why did she write a card to him saying that she arrived in Marriottsville? Why did she do that?
Where'd they take place?
With Precinct 6. I sent somebody over with the bail money.
Maybe you won't need it. I'll run it down, Jeff.
All right, now hurry up, will you? This fella knows he's being watched. I'm not gonna wait around forever. Hurry up.
That ring checks out. We'll give him an escort. So long, Jeff.
So long.
Well, now, are we all ready? Is the Artie Police Quartet ready? Fine. All right, now. Bruce is strolling down the lane, and he spies Rosemary, and he says, "Good evening, Miss Simpkins."
Good evening, Bruce.
She calls me Bruce. "Miss Simpkins, it's Sunday evening, and if you'll remember, Sunday evening was the night we first met. On Sunday night, romance will get you if it's on your brain. On Sunday night, by chance, I met you strolling down the lane. And in a moment, I knew the reason why. The turtle dove starts thinking of the stars above and falls in love. On a Sunday evening, a sober Sunday evening, 'twas then I first came upon you. I smiled and said, "Good evening, how do you do?" You said, "I'm doing nicely, thank you and you." So then I answered most politely, "Why, miss, I'm not as sprightly as I could be walking with you." So then you looked me over a moment or two and said, "Because it's Sunday, it's got to be on Sunday," and said, "Because it's Sunday, you do."
But at the same token, I have a feeling there's something going out of life and motion pictures, and when losing those two guys, maybe I'm just being over sentimental. I don't think I am. I'm a sentimental guy, Jim. I'll write to you that way sometimes. I'm sorry I do, but I do.
Well, I'm a sentimental guy, and I just from observation over the last years and years and years, I just had a feeling that And to be an original is a very special sort of thing for a human being. Because it means that you, when you're gone, have accumulated a number of things that are yours. And it doesn't matter whether another person comes and gets the same sort of parts and the same sort of, and fits into the same niche that you did when you were, it's still not quite the same, because you were the original.